Please welcome #1 New York Times bestseller, Purpose Coach, Chief Purpose Officer of Calm, Jay Shetty. And entertainment journalist, host, and producer, Scott Evans.
It doesn't stop being epic. I don't know. It's every time. I do want to acknowledge, though, the energy in this room. I do want to honor the emotion in this room. I don't think it is appropriate to move on and to even have this conversation, though I think it is directly related, without taking a moment to really absorb what was just shared. You know, the purpose of this is to inspire, to encourage, and to urge, to activate. And I just don't know how you can hear those women talk without feeling that. And so it just didn't feel like the thing to do to be like, okay, cool, now I'm up here with my friend Jay Shetty. And so I hope that as you move through this day, there's a portion of this conversation, these conversations, that prick you in such a way you can't just move through your day as though you were. That you decide, you choose something different, and that you get active now, because we can't wait. We cannot wait. And speaking of not waiting, here's my friend Jay Shetty. He is, you know him, New York Times bestseller. Did they announce you as the chief, what? What was that? No, what was that?
No idea.
Was it chief something of purpose? What was it? It's just incredible. Yeah, you have this way of, you know, and I know it's your intention, but it really is this way of making ancient wisdom go viral. Your podcast is, of course, one of I think it is actually the #1 podcast in its genre, one of the most downloaded of all podcasts. We're hungry for this knowledge, and so I'm excited to be able to share how you applied what you gained living life as a monk today. And I want to start really with asking you first, what would you say in times that can feel like the darkest, right? In times that can feel like there is nothing to look forward to, what would be the thing you would hope people would apply today from that monk lifestyle?
Well, first of all, I just want to express my gratitude and honor for being in this incredible assembly. Thank you to my dear friend here for such a wonderful moment of pause and taking that moment to acknowledge the energy in the room, and to all of you as well for your wonderfully warm welcome. I think what I'm feeling or hearing right now, as you ask me that question, is the need for compassion. And when I lived as a monk during those 3 years, one of the most revered qualities or revered characteristics was compassion. And leaders specifically were not chosen simply on their caliber. They were evaluated on their character. Leaders were not chosen simply because of their competence. They were chosen because of their compassion. And I think we live at a time today where we're no longer seeing leaders have compassion be the compass of their actions. So my hope and intention would be that in times like this, we are being forced, galvanized, incentivized to dig deeper to find that compassion within ourselves that we don't need on a daily basis, that we may not even need to go there to live our daily lives. But we're really being encouraged to find it during these times.
I want to ask you specifically about how, you know, in some cases it can feel like a other issue, right? It's someone else's problem. It's not in my backyard. It's not in my day-to-day. And so somehow it's some further removed from me. How would you activate, how would you encourage someone to change their perspective when it comes to like, especially in a case like Ukraine, right? What would you say to someone to say, this is, maybe you want to change your mind about that thing?
I'd say that the first thing, and this isn't to suggest that I don't want it to extend, I do believe that if people became more active in their communities and close to home, we'd actually gain more confidence and more resilience to then go and help further as well. And so the goal is that if we were to get activated around what's happening in our back garden, in our backyard, in our communities, you actually develop the skills, the tools, the confidence, the community to say, when there's something happening across the world, let's go and use that same energy to support. But the challenge is when we're not activated in our own communities and areas, then it feels really far removed, and then it feels scary. And so I found that when people are a part of the solution, even in the smallest way, the problem becomes more achievable. So being a part of the solution in some way is actually going to give us the tools and the energy to go and extend that, because we feel a sense of we achieved something, we did something, we changed something. And I think anyone who's ever had that feeling, when I lived as a monk, I got to partake in a food distribution program that at the time used to distribute about 100,000 meals a day to the children of India. And that felt like a big amount. That program today, since I left, it got better, distributes 1.2 million meals per day to the children of India.
1.2 million
meals per day.
Whoa.
And so for me, yeah, thank you to all those. And it was amazing. For me, I thought 100,000 was our ceiling. Like, I thought that was, everyone did a really great job. But that's what I found, that when you've done that, you then feel confidence to go further and further and further and further. And so even if that started, I was never there, but someone would have started that program for 1 meal a day.
Right.
And it was because of that person that we got to 100,000. And it's because of those people that we got to 1 million. So to me, it starts with that one person who goes and distributes that 1 meal.
Can I ask you a really personal question? What was the thing in your years of living as a monk, what was the thing you missed the most? Right? Like, of all of the things you had to sacrifice, you gave up, you did without, what was the thing that you were like, dang, if I could just get a piece of chocolate?
Oh, you're saying it that way. Oh, I thought you were asking me now, what do I miss now? Because I was like, I don't miss the cold showers. I was coming up with a list of things I don't miss. Oh, you're saying when I was there, what did I miss?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the day I left being a monk after 3 years, the first thing I did, went back to London, where my parents are from and where I was born and raised, and bought a big pack of dairy milk, like this massive slab.
It was chocolate.
It was chocolate.
It was chocolate.
It was chocolate. You were right. It was dairy milk. Chocolate.
I get it.
I destroyed that thing. It was amazing.
You deserved it.
Yeah, thank you.
You deserved it.
Thank you. That's actually made me feel better.
Yeah.
Always had a cathartic experience. Now I feel like I deserve it.
Well, because it leads right into my next question, which was there are so many things that a monk does as a means to point toward meditation, to point toward stillness, that are also good for the environment.
Yes.
Right? And I'm curious what you might suggest we could adopt, we could consider, and allow us to use the hashtag act like a monk. You know what I mean? That might also be focused on making this a better place to live environmentally.
Yeah. So the first half of our days were spent in silence and solitude, what you would expect monks to do. And the second half of our days was spent in service. So we were building sustainable villages so that we could demonstrate how agriculture could change and how the environment could be taken care of. And what I found really interesting is it's not about whether we were waking up at 4 a.m., which is what we did, or had cold showers, or slept on the floor, or didn't have a bed, or lived out of a gym locker and all of our possessions fit inside of it. Those were not the habits that I think change our lives. They do, but they don't. What I find today is whether we're looking at the climate crisis or whether we're looking at any crisis in the world, we have a crisis of habits. right? Our real crisis is the ability to change our habits. I know people who want to change, but they don't know how to change their habits because you never learned how to change your habits at school.
Or to notice them.
Or to even notice them, or to even know you have habits and that they are changeable. So I believe that it's a willingness to change habits, is the wisdom of how to do it, and then it's what to do. And so I would encourage all educational institutions, I would encourage all governments, I would encourage everyone to be helping humans learn how to change their habits, because our habits are what we're seeing out there in the world. I know so many people I'm sure if I asked everyone here in the room, how many of us would like to be more environmentally friendly, I'm sure everyone would put their hand up.
Right.
But then if we asked how many of us know the habit changes that are required, how many of us know practical ways to actually make that switch? And so I think instead of forcing people or blaming people or guilting people, if we were able to train people. I was a 21-year-old going on being 22 who was waking up at 4 a.m., sleeping on the floor and practicing celibacy. Like, that is habit transformation. That is not attraction as a 21-year-old. And changing people's habits is the real crisis that we're facing right now.
That's incredible. And it's so funny because I think sometimes when you ask a question like that, you almost anticipate there being this very complex, or oh, you do this, you do this, you do this, and it's like, no, it's actually very, very simple. It's look at your habits, identify them, and then find the spaces in between where you can change, right? Like, you can own that. One of the things that you said is one of my favorite quotes from your teachers: plant trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit. And it's really about service and about giving, not for your own benefit, but for the benefit of others. And I'm curious, what might you want more people to know about that exchange?
Yeah, our teachers would always repeat this phrase of planting trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit. I think we live in a world that's always addicted to investments and ROI and, what's going to be the result of this? And actually living from a place of I'm giving without thinking this is ever going to benefit me is the highest way of living. And I think there are three pursuits to human life. We're obsessed with survival, and survival often is where people have to spend a lot of their time and focus. Some people are struggling to survive, right? We know that. That's very real. For those people who figure out how to survive or have the privilege of figuring out how to survive, they pursue success. But we know a lot of people who've survived and are successful who are not happy. And so the only pursuit of human life that truly is worth it beyond those two that most people never get to is service and contribution. And so for those of us who have had the privilege of surviving and had the privilege of being somewhat stable, we can use that stability as an opportunity to serve and extend ourselves back to communities that don't have. And so to me, that is the third and most valuable pursuit of humanity. And anyone who has some stability has the opportunity to serve.
So what you're saying is we all could be doing a little bit more.
Me too.
Yeah.
All of us, including me. I just think that I was so grateful to the monks because they made service and contribution become the greatest pillar of human life. And I think that we've been, we're wired for generosity, but we're educated for greed. If you look at every single one.
Say that one more time. I feel like that's one more time.
Every single one of us, if you look at children, if you look at who we are as pure souls, as consciousness, as energy, we're wired for generosity, but we're educated for greed. And so we're wired that way. We know within our hearts that we'd rather help someone. I mean, the science shows it today too. People who help other people are happier. This isn't just an old tale or fable or idea.
Right.
And so if we can extend ourselves even a tiny bit, it can have a huge impact.
Y'all know what I'm about to say, right? We could do this all day.
But we can't.
But we can. That is our time. Give it up one more time for Jay Shetty.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Scott.
Thank you, brother.
Scott, thank you so much.
He's got another book coming out. Another #1.